And here we are for another exceptional episode. I'm going to use the word tonight for a recording of our Cowbell podcast. For one reason, I'm actually sitting live next to our guest. But Kelvin, great to see you on the other end of the line there. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thanks, Dave. Good to see you, um, basically physically with our guest Heather. It's gonna be a very interesting conversation with her. I'm looking forward to hearing her story.
Yeah, mate. So without further ado, and we're going to launch right in here, Heather. Um, it's not often I get to sit right next to the guests in this sense and actually introduce you, but I'm sitting with Heather Hawkins. Now, some of you who listen to our podcast may be already familiar with that name, but basically, Heather's background is one of an incredible journey and an incredible journey through a journey that started with a trip to the doctors. And I'm going to leave that there because uh, Heather's running journey, I guess, started beyond that. But Heather is an ultra runner, a mum, but also an adventurer and also a published author as well. So I know that's all very ambiguous, and I've left it open because I'm now going to bring to the mic Heather Hawkins. It is so good to have you on the Cowbell. Welcome. Amazing to have you here.
Oh, look, thank you so much, Dave and Kelvin. It's awesome to be a part of the podcast. I've really enjoyed listening to the previous episodes, so looking forward to our chat tonight.
So Heather knows Lisa Sherman, one of our former guests here, not only as a friend but also as a race director, because Heather was part of Lisa's last one standing. We, of course, interviewed Lisa earlier this year with her event that we had up here in Maroubra. Heather is a Coogee local, lives just around the corner from me in Randwick, and so that's why it's so easy to be able to get together. So Kelvin, you and I were chatting post our Jervis Bay Ultra experience there about who we'd like next on the podcast, and there was a number of people that came to mind, and Heather's been on my shortlist for some time because not only of uh, her experience and her story, but just recently, Heather, what did you just compete and complete?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I did the 24-hour race in Canberra. And what I love about those races is it comes down to your mindset, that challenge of running 400-meter laps around a track for 24 hours straight. And, wrangling family, friends to be support crew, and just that whole experience. It is such a good challenge. And I turned 60 earlier this year. And of course, you go, oh, I'm moving up into a new age group. I wonder what the current records are for my age group. And I looked at them and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a really good shot at those, as well as giving me an opportunity to raise awareness and funds for ovarian cancer. So I got out there and gave it a really good shot and came away with two Australian records for my age group. Yeah, the 12-hour and the 24-hour. So it was a really good experience. And I learned a lot actually from that race. That's the third time I've done a 24-hour race. And this time I had the challenge of having a bit of an upset tummy and yeah, managing that throughout the race. So it's always a really interesting thing when your race doesn't go to plan and you're looking at plan B, C, D. How am I going to cope with this? How am I going to stay positive? But yeah, you really do rely on those past experiences that you've had, what you've learnt in life, the support of your race crew, and it gets you through. And that was a really good indication of absolute positive teamwork.
So you say you set those two records, I guess, for those at home that are following along. What were the records for the 12 and the 24 hour then?
Yeah, so the 12, it was 89 kilometers, and then the 24 was 151 kilometers.
And then
Yes.
so that was your overall.
Yes, yes,
And that's
yeah,
in that age category.
it is. Yes, yeah. So that's good. I'm hoping
It's
with
more
the
than good.
I'm hoping for the 48-hour race to also continue that role.
And was there a big contingent? Was there a big crowd down there in Canberra the other week?
15 of us and some amazing runners that I guess with our running community here in Australia, you get to know names, and it was a privilege to run alongside them and to watch them in motion. And it was such a great event, so well run by Matthew Eckford, and Martin Fry did an amazing job with the timing. It was so professional, so yeah, so positive. And yeah, it's given me that boost and that confidence to now do the 48 hour.
We'll come back to that
Yeah,
because that's just been
Mm.
announced that you're going to
yeah.
be stepping on to do the 48 hour. I guess they get you, if I'm not mistaken, they get you, you do a certain amount of laps one way and then you do a certain amount of laps the other way. So you're not running lopsided the whole time, correct?
That's it. And it becomes one of those incredibly exciting things as the time is ticking down. You go, hey, I'm going to be running in the other direction really, really soon. And then you're really mindful about how you turn around that cone without kind of hobbling or falling over. And yeah, then you're looking at everything in a completely new angle. It's just like you start a new race, and mentally you can tell yourself, great, I've got 4 hours, I'm going to run. And then the next 4 hours goes, you go in a different direction. I'll start a new race.
And I know, like I know the people that have done these challenges before, do you always run on that inside lane or do you find that you move out to the outside just to mix it up a bit?
I do a bit of both,
Yeah.
and it's that strategy of also incorporating power walking as well. And yeah, like you might run 10 laps, walk half a lap. So when you're walking to move into that, lane two and leave the fast runners in lane one, and then slot back in and yeah, run again. So it's all sort of that strategy that you put in place. Yeah.
And then just while we're talking about this, because we're going to rewind in a second, but just
Mm.
how different then is it to, I imagine, look, what we know now out of backyard ultras, the phenomenon that has is it's not just the individual that's actually doing the lap on the hour every hour. It's about the teamwork and the behind the scenes with your support crew and your family. I'd imagine in
Yeah.
a race like this is exactly the same.
Oh, it is. It is. And my family been amazing. What they do, stay up all night. Yes, going, do you want a race gel? Yeah, how's your nutrition? Yeah. How are you? Do you want a jacket on? Oh, they look after you so well. And I'm just so grateful for a supportive family and yeah, friends that come down to support as well, because it makes a difference. I can't imagine doing these races all by yourself. You do need that team around you.
That's yeah, so quite an undertaking there.
Did you sleep actually, Heather? Like during the 24 hours, did you have a nap or you just keep
No.
going? Like you keep going,
Yeah.
right?
I kept going. I sat down for a maximum of about 5 minutes because
Wow.
even though it's lovely to take the weight off your feet
Yeah.
and have something to eat, you find that you cool down pretty quickly, and then you start to stiffen up. And I know if I would sit down for longer, I'd probably go, oh, I don't know, can I
Yeah.
get up again? Will I get so comfortable? I might fall asleep. So yeah, so just to keep the stops to a minimum. Yeah, because you just know the clock doesn't stop. That's the difference with these races compared to the backyard ultras, where you've got 10
Yeah, that's right.
or so where you can just happily sit lunch and then back to the start line. Whereas this is, yes, it just keeps going and going
Mm.
until yeah, the end of the 24 hours.
No, that's
Yeah.
an incredible header. Like I think the world is big enough before I start decide to go around circle. Like yeah, thanks.
I was going to say, have you ever run around a track like that before, Kelvin?
Well, not for a long time. Like since I discovered trail running, like I rarely run on track. Like I stuff like um I like to run pond to pond. I like to run places that I've never been to. Pretty much just an adventure run. So talking about that, like I think Heather, like I'm not sure, maybe a good segue to some of your past race or past adventure, right? Like
Well,
when
well,
I
Kelvin, I'm just going to pause you there because sorry to interrupt.
okay, so
Um, we're going to get to that because I want to go back to the beginning
yeah,
to
that yep,
lead into this.
sounds good.
So whether you want to cut that out or whatever, Kel. But Heather, and I don't. You just mentioned you turned 60, and so we've started the podcast with about the most recent undertaking. But let's go back now because I think that's what we're here for, and that's what we're here to hear Heather's story. So, what, 19 years ago, or almost
Yes.
20 years ago, two teenage kids, and you went off to the doctors.
Yes.
Let's now go forward to basically rewind, sorry, to then go through with where we are now and what you've been through in your whole life experience.
Yeah, that day was life-changing. Before that, I actually didn't exercise at all. I would diet to stay thin, and I even didn't have the courage to swim out behind the breaking waves at Coogee Beach. And I just wasn't in touch with my physicality. So when I started to notice some changes, and at first I thought, this is menopause. I was 41 at that stage. And as my abdomen started to swell a little bit more, and I just had this incredible fatigue. And I thought, this is not what my body is normally like. I need to go and make an appointment with my GP. So it was a Monday morning and phoned up the doctors. I was able to get in that morning. He took one look at me and he said, Heather, I'm going to send you off to have a CT scan because I am concerned about this. So headed off to the radiology clinic. And that moment where you're undressing from your normal day clothes and you're putting on your white hospital gown, suddenly it's just like the color of life just fades away and you're vulnerable and you're thinking, what is this CT scan going to reveal? Yeah, I knew that there must have been something fairly serious for the doctor to send me straight up to have the scan. And so that afternoon, Doug and I walked back into his rooms. He had the results on his desk. And I remember so clearly, he turned around to face us. He'd been our family GP for 17 years and he had tears in his eyes. And I took a breath in and he said, I am so sorry, Heather, but you have a 10 centimetre tumour on your right ovary. And in that moment, your world just stays still and your mind empties, and there's just this silence. And then all the questions just come flooding out. Am I going to survive this? What does this mean? I know I'll need surgery. What about the kids? And we had our own film and video production company. We were so busy. And I thought, this just takes me out of that at the moment into this new pathway where I am actually fighting for my life. This is just, like those sliding door moments. Fortunately, I was able to get in to see a gynecological surgeon who happened to be the obstetrician who delivered both Beck and Cal. So I had a familiar face, a trusted person, and he was able to slot me in for surgery. So 10 days later, I was undergoing major surgery. And within that time frame, my tumour had grown from being 10 centimetres to almost being 20 centimetres in diameter. It was a fast-growing, immature teratoma. And so that was life-saving surgery. And amazingly, it was contained. It had not spread to my lymph or anywhere else in my abdomen. And so I was able to recover from that. And due to the latest research, I was able to go on what's called a surveillance program. So instead of starting chemotherapy straight away, I was monitored with regular blood scans, checkups, with a backup plan. If anything showed up, then I would start chemo. And it was a new way that they were introducing to manage patients. And that lasted for 5 years. So initially I'd go every 2 weeks. I would be, at work, and the next minute I'd be stepping back into the hospital ward, back being a patient. Sitting on the edge of my chair, waiting for results, walking back into the sunshine going, thank goodness, I'm okay. Yeah, another 2 weeks, I'd be back there again. And that whole journey certainly put me in the ovarian cancer space where I made friends and I would see, the statistics play out that some of them would lose their lives, others would survive. It's a powerful, profound experience to go through, and that has definitely shaped who I am today. And one of the things my oncologist said to me, he said, perhaps a little bit of exercise, Heather, would be a really good way to help with your recovery, help with mental health, but also that it would be just something that would give you strength if the cancer does return. And I think I've always been a very diligent person. And if someone gives me a task to do, then I like to go off and do it. So I thought, okay, I will do that. And so I became a surf lifesaver. That just seemed to be the most natural thing to do. My family was involved with nippers. Yeah, managed to do that. And then I signed up for a 4 kilometre fun run, and it's the Mother's Day Classic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was 2012.
Right.
And I had 2.5 weeks to prepare. I didn't have any proper runners. I had a pair of old Dunlop Volleys. I had a pair of old gardening shorts. And I took the 2 kids and myself off to Centennial Park. And there is that perfect 3.6 kilometre loop in the middle. And I remember turning to my son Cal going, so do we stretch? What do we do? Just, yeah, how fast do we run? Yeah, what the? And setting off on that lap, never having run that distance before. But there was something about it. I was just so drawn to the challenge and to also, it was such a purposeful event as well. Because my grandma and auntie had passed from from breast cancer. So we set off and everything was going pretty well. And then I started to get really tired about the 1.5 kilometre mark, red-faced, and my legs were really tired. And I spotted a water bubbler and I thought, oh, great excuse. I can stop here and have a drink. It'll give me a moment to regain my composure. Ran a little bit further, felt really tired, and actually sat down on the sandstone blocks. And it was that moment in life where you are faced with that decision. It was a good idea. I'm not cut out to be a runner. Yeah, I'll go home now and not run, or I'll pick myself up and I'll finish off this lap and I'll go and buy myself some runners and some running gear. I'll work out about race nutrition and I'll face with a little bit more courage this journey. And that's what I chose to do. And it's just like in life, those moments where you're faced with those decisions. Do I take the easier way out or the more challenging way? But that way I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn. And little did I know that would be the very beginning of my running.
That's the catalyst.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that event.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved that event.
And again, another previous guest, Mel Warman who's on the board and a big advocate for the Mother's Day Classic, of course, and now supporting ovarian cancer as well. So it's the double whammy. And so we had and Mel and Lisa are great mates and both have incredibly inspiring stories, both of them. So not that there's any theme in what we're doing here on the Cowbell, but that's incredible moving there. Chatting to Doug on the way in, your husband, like on the way in, obviously he's very involved with the nippers, and he was sort of saying, I mean, it was where it all started. It was that getting out, applying yourself, as you say, to the physical activity. So you became the surf life. You did your bronze medallion, and that was the launch pad for all of that. So you went off and did the event, and then where did it go from there? What ideas started to pop in your head from there? Because obviously you started to prove to yourself, well, actually, I've made that decision now. Where to from here?
Yes. I still remember that day, beautiful sunshine and running around Mrs. Macquarie's chair, looking out at the harbour, and with my daughter Beck on one side running along and my son Cal on the other. And I looked at them and I said, today is not the only day that we run. I think I found something that I really love to do. And when we cross that finish line today, that's just the beginning. Why don't we do the city to surf?
And do they look at you and go, oh, Mum?
Time. So I wrangled them into that, and that was great. And then I thought, if we can do the city to surf, the Sydney Half Marathon is coming up in September that year. Why don't we do that together? And they ran that with me. And I just love how there are stepping stones. And so from there, I thought, if I can do a half marathon, maybe I can do the full. So I did a few more half marathons in 2013 and then did the Sydney full marathon, in September 2013. great experience. I mean, you learn so much. Your first marathon,
Mm.
it's daunting, isn't it? Because you've never been that far. Yeah, learning about race nutrition. Everyone was talking about, hitting the wall at 30, 32
Mm.
degrees. And I remember getting to there going, I actually feel okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And crossing the finish line. And what I love about every event, it gives you that opportunity to dedicate it to someone, have that sort of that deeper purpose. And when you are struggling in a race, that's what you can reflect on. And that helps keep your legs moving, keeps you
Mm.
going forward. And yeah, so I kind of started to think a bit more about that, incorporating that in my runs. And yeah, so at that stage, I just thought road running, yeah, that was me, and that's what I would do until I bumped into a friend at the start line of the Melbourne Marathon. That was the next year, 2014. And he was he was just wanting to chat all about these marathons that they run on ice. And he was saying, yeah, so cool. Haven't you heard about them, Heather? You should definitely do them. And I spent the entire marathon in
Super
Melbourne
cool.
thinking about penguins and running on ice and what do you wear and how cold would it be and how do you actually get there? But I Googled it as soon as I got back to my hotel room. Yeah. And that's what actually has taken me, yeah, away from typical road marathons and into these amazing events that are held in these remote, wild, spectacular places that, you've read about and dreamt about as a kid. And then you find yourself right there. And yeah, they're incredible. So that's why I signed up for the North Pole Marathon. It was a great way of turning 50, having a little bit of a holiday with Doug to celebrate our wedding anniversary, and then heading off, yeah, to the geographic North Pole to run a marathon.
A holiday to the North Pole. So, uh, in that period, so that was then you turned 50. So we're talking then that, yeah, again, 9 years later, post your surgery, post your experience going through there. At that point, did you put the cancer, did you put all of that well behind you and start going, I'm a survivor. I've beaten this. It's just it's now full steam ahead. It's nonstop.
Yeah, I think the further you get away from that time where you've been diagnosed, yes, you're breathing a little easier. And I knew that my health had been managed really, really well by
Mm.
my medicals team. So, and for me, the North Pole was a celebration of survival. And and I was just so grateful to have the opportunity and the health to be able to get up there and to run this race. And ended up being one of the most emotional races I have run, and how you're needing to manage yourself so you do not cry because your tears will freeze or they'll fog up your ski goggles. But it was just an incredible moment because it did feel like I was going through a new doorway into finding something completely new. It was taking my journey up an extra level of challenge, but celebrating, yes, getting through cancer. And funnily enough, I'd made myself a fantastic playlist, and that had been a real focus. I thought, great songs, about
Mm.
cold and snow and ice. But within two songs, I heard John Farnham sing two songs. My phone froze.
Oh, right.
I was very much left with my own thoughts, but that ended up being such a gift because I was able to think about life and so deeply about survival and the people who'd had an impact on my life and helping to shape me and take in the environment and hear the snow crunch under my feet. Because
Mm.
basically it's frozen ocean with a layer of snowy ice. So it's
Wow.
like running on sand. It's really challenging. And I remember in the preparation, I'd signed up for it. It was the height of summer. The race was in April. I think, how do I train for something like this? I thought, well, maybe I can hire an industrial freezer and get a treadmill, but it's just like I think I go a bit loopy. So I trained on the soft sand at Coogee Beach.
Oh, well, you answered the question because that was how do you and did you wear your goggles on the sand? Ski goggles, this is not the swimming goggles.
I took them with me one time just to,
Yeah,
yeah, take a
yeah.
photo. And yeah, a few people thought I was a little bit mad. But yeah, and just thought, well, if I just buy some really good gear and trust that that will be warm enough, it'll work well, then yeah, everything should work out well. And the amazing thing, and I still don't know how I did it, I ended up winning the women's race.
Wow.
Crossing the finish line first and coming eighth overall. It was just one of those races that emotion and drive and everything came together. It was one of those absolutely perfect experiences. And yeah, I'll
Well,
never forget
I
it.
think this is when I first knew who you were because it became a bit of a big deal. It was all over the news
Yeah.
and that you're a cancer survivor, an ovarian cancer survivor, and you'd just gone off to the North Pole, and you not yeah, as you say, you won the women's race, and it did. It made the news, it made headlines, and that's certainly when I got to know who you were then. But for those out there, I mean, you've talked about the crunch underneath your feet, but a lot of people that are maybe starting to embark on training for Sydney Marathon, for example, this year for the first time, and the record numbers that are going through the roof now that it's part of the Abbots, it's part of the World Majors. I mean, you've just at that point, how many marathons did you run by the time you got to North
So I think
Pole?
I'd run about 4 or 5
So
at that
four or
point.
five
Yeah.
marathons in, and then you're running in the North Pole. You're not running in a pair of trainers either. You're running
No.
like you're running in snow boots, I'd imagine.
So actually they did start a few years prior. They did have people in snowshoes. But they decided that like trail runners, Gore-Tex trail runners were
Mm.
the best thing that you buy, a couple of sizes up. So you've got your thick trekking socks in. I even
Ah.
bought, those hand warmers and feet warmers?
Yep.
Started the race with those, but they ended up as little ice blocks.
Wow.
Like, well, this isn't working. So those out. So yeah, a lot of the strategy of the race is not overheating, but not getting too cold. Yeah, you don't want to sweat and then have it freeze. Yeah, so just staying just warm enough that you're not causing any issues. So I ended up taking off one of my layers. They had a heated tent for the medic and where you could have your
Mm.
race nutrition and pop in with each lap. So it was 3.8 kilometer laps. And yeah, so there's lots of thinking about to manage and make sure that all your skin is perfectly covered. The race started out, it was minus 26. It was sunny, lovely conditions, and then the wind picked up and it dropped to minus 41.
Oh.
It was incredible. The winds, it was great when it was the tailwind blowing you along, but when it was head on, yeah, you're kind of running along, just making sure everything's covered. Yeah, yeah, it was incredible. Absolutely amazing experience. And I love the challenge. Like I celebrated
Mm.
that challenge about it. Yeah, and I think definitely drawing on things, yeah, from the past that enables you to face these challenges. Yeah,
And did you
down
have
in the
and
future.
and did you have any moment that you thought, this is just too much for me? Like you sort of like start regretting entering such a grueling race?
No, no.
Oh.
Maybe just when my music had gone, I thought, oh no, yeah. But you very quickly kind of flick that switch, that mindset, and go,
Yeah.
okay, that's all right. Yeah, I can cope without this. But no, definitely, you're facing fatigue and and
Mm.
and your legs are getting pretty tired. And you're thinking, okay, one more lap, one more lap. Come on, let's get out of the heated tent, get out that door, back into the elements. Yeah, but it's also, the amazing people that you're running with. They're just so lovely, and they
Mm.
give you a boost when you're running alongside them. Trying to talk through your balaclava, but short conversations. But yeah, you're really sharing an experience with them.
So you're on this icy, wonderland, and as you said, it really got you thinking about those around you and survivors and the stories around you. What I'm now going to it's taking you to this is such an amazing adventurous place. Then again, it's another launch pad and it's a stepping stone. You mentioned it
Yes.
before. You mentioned the stepping stone.
Yeah.
So then what came next after
Yeah.
that?
It's called the World Marathon Challenge, and it's a race that is run by the same race director as the North Pole. And so naturally we got talking about that. So the next year, yeah, so what I love to do is something each year, have something to look forward to, and to do something each year, whether it's a small challenge or a much bigger one. And so this was in January 2016, the next year. And it's running 7 marathons on 7 continents in 7 days. The logistics are crazy.
I'm just trying to
It's
compute
a
that. I'm just trying to compute that for a second.
Yeah.
So 7 marathons, 7 continents in 7 days.
Yes. And no time zones are taken into consideration.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have yeah.
Okay. Walk us, well, run us through this one.
And also, what I loved is the first marathon is in Antarctica. And I thought, hey, that balances out the North Pole
Wow,
to
you've
get
been to
to
both
see.
ends of the globe.
It's so cool. And the minute that race starts, the clock is ticking, and you are so aware of that. And it was only the second year that it had been run. So at that stage, we were
Mm.
catching, apart from the flight to Antarctica, the rest of the flights were commercial airlines. Yeah, you're going through customs, trying to find your bag on the carousel. You're at the mercy of connecting flights. So we finished the race in Antarctica. It was much warmer than the North Pole and much firmer underfoot because there is land under,
Yeah.
yeah, it was at the Union
Right.
Glacier. Yeah, so we had this perfect window before the weather was closing in. So we were able to get that race done, race back to the plane that was waiting, fly back to Chile, and we ran along the shoreline at Punta Arenas, ran the next marathon there. Ah, yay!
In fact, I was talking about Punta Arenas with someone today, but that's a completely different story
It's a
anyway.
great
Oh, it's
place.
incredible.
Yeah, and then it was really windy, so our
Mm.
flight was delayed. And you can imagine, normally you're going, oh, flights are delayed for the for because there were 15 of us doing the race. Our stress levels were going through the roof, thinking, oh no, we had this small window of connecting flight in Santiago to get to Miami, and it was disappearing the longer this flight was delayed. Until one bright spark decided, well, if we back the plane around, the wind's not going to blow it over when we open the cargo hold. We'll load the luggage, and we took off. It's like, oh, thankfully, raced through the connecting flight to Santiago, got to Miami at 3 a.m. in the morning, headed to the beachfront there, straight away into the marathon. So,
So you're pretty much all traveling together.
yes,
So
yeah.
what happens if someone is not running in the pace time and they're way off the mark? Do they miss the flight?
Well, this fortunately you have about 7 or 8 hours
Ah,
for each marathon. So it is a good window of time, but as
Mm.
the races go on, you can imagine people are starting to get slower, they're getting injured, and
fatigue.
fatigue. And it starts to creep in. And yeah, you're just thinking all these marathons back to back. So Miami, that was great. And then we flew to Madrid in Spain. Um, and it was held at a central park. So these are just, they're measured courses and not part of any existing race. So it's just you with your race number running around, whether it's at a beachfront promenade or it's in a park. And the park in Madrid had a very slight incline. And normally, you wouldn't think too much about it. But on tired, fatigued
Yeah.
legs, that felt like Everest. We turn around to do another lap. And that was probably my hardest marathon because I got to about 500 meters from the finish line. The sun was setting. I was already thinking ahead to Marrakesh, which was going to be in 7 hours' time.
Mm.
Um, and that momentary lapse of concentration, I tripped over. I just could not believe it. And as you're falling, I just remember going, oh no, please don't break anything. Don't. Fortunately, I was only grazed and winded, but that just really took the wind out of my sails. I thought, I cannot believe I've done this. And sitting on the bus, going to the airport, thinking, I've got this next race in a matter of hours. We're starting at midnight. I'm sore. I'm tired. Yeah, I've put myself in this situation. Had a few tears, and then thought, no, come on, you. We're going to start this race, and I'm going to be grateful. Think about all the things I'm grateful for. And I know it's going to be a really cold, dark race. We were running around an empty city square in Marrakesh. Everyone had talked about how hard this one was, but it ended up actually being one of my favorites because I really had to dig deep with this one. And yeah, I cried a lot. And I guess that time I didn't need to worry about tears freezing. But that got me through. And on my playlist was the Bee Gees, Staying Alive. And every time I hear that song, I think think about that empty, city square and the challenge of running that one. And listening to the calls to prayer in the morning, and the sun was up. Yeah, jumping back onto that bus again to get to the airport, flying to Dubai this time
So
for the
just,
Asian
and also
continent.
obviously
Yeah,
you're jet setting around. So this ain't no holiday,
yeah,
but you're jet
yes.
setting around all these places. When you're going through customs and you put, I'm going to be here for less than 18 hours or not even a day. Are people looking at you strange going, what are you doing?
They are. I still remember when we flew into Miami, you know how they scan your
Yeah.
fingerprints. Mine weren't working. So the rest of the group just went through.
Oh.
And in my backpack, I had all my electrolyte powders in little sachets.
Ah.
Oh, that old chestnut. Ah.
We're only in my US
Yeah.
for less than
Yeah.
24 hours.
Just outside Miami, of all places.
I was trying to stay so calm, trying to think, oh, pop this sweat off my forehead. Oh,
just
yeah.
planning from Chile to yeah, right.
Yeah, this does not look good. Yeah, but phew, made that through. Yeah, but it does. Yeah, I think maybe it would be even harder today, wouldn't it?
Well, well, absolutely. There's probably many
Yeah.
borders that we wouldn't be able to do this. I mean, Kelvin, I can see you've got a question on the edge, but like, did you have a logistics manager that was helping you with all of this, or you guys doing it all on your own?
Yeah, so Richard Donovan, the race director, had booked all the flights for us and managed that. But very much was up to us to get our luggage off the carousel, to have our race gear ready, look after ourselves in that way. Yeah,
No accommodation, I guess.
so there are a couple of, let's see, in Marrakesh, we were able for 2 hours to go to a hotel room, so at least we could have a shower. And then in Dubai, we had about a few hours before we started the race on the waterfront there. So that was lovely, but that was the only time we had access to hotel rooms. The rest was on planes, eating airline food and whatever else we'd bought with us. It gives me a whole new appreciation of airline food. I loved it.
And then that downtime on the plane. I mean, I imagine you're exhausted, so you sleep, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's not the most comfortable for recovering from a marathon
yeah,
with your
yeah.
legs on the plane, is it?
Yeah, yeah, and you know how you stiffen up,
Yeah.
and quite often we'd be in the airport with rollers and stretching and taking up a lot of the floor space, trying to get ourselves moving again. Yeah, and so to run in Dubai was great, and then knowing there was only one more marathon to go, and that was in Sydney.
Of course.
Oh, wow.
I mean, what a gift to
Yeah.
coming back home. And so that race started at 11:30 at night, and we had till 8 a.m. the next morning.
Wow.
That was when the clock would stop. So that was a good amount of time. And you can imagine, people have got bandages on their knees, they're hobbling. But there's such a special bond, and we supported each other. And my family and friends lined that because basically it was running between Manly and Freshwater along the promenade. And so, my son Cal rode a bike along, and had my niece on a skateboard. My brothers came up, from Melbourne and from Alice Springs. Had neighbours sitting on the park benches with signs all through the night, encouraging everybody. It was fabulous, and crossing that finish line, that was such a beautiful moment.
Knowing you didn't have to get on a plane because you could just go straight home.
It was so good. Yeah. Yes, and everyone made it. Everyone
Everyone
got
made
through. Yeah. Oh, that was fantastic, and we still keep in touch. Yeah, very, very special and a remarkable experience to go through. So that certainly opened up my eyes to, yeah, to, I guess, to running multi-stage ultras now. That, yes, to have that capacity and that joy and that challenge of yeah, fueling yourself and preparing yourself for something much longer than a marathon.
Are they still doing it?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
So now they have a chartered plane, which would
Wow.
be so lovely.
Wow.
Yeah, and they do run in different cities now. Yeah, and I think there's two organizations as
Yeah,
well.
I mean, I
Yeah.
definitely knew that I didn't know that I hadn't heard for it for a few years, but I knew that they were doing it. So that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yes. Yeah. So it's fun to follow, isn't it? I think races like that, it's great to follow it from on the
Oh,
socials to see where are they now? Have they landed? Have they started running? How's everyone going?
it's not just obviously we now there's we've talked about it a lot. There's many people out there doing incredible back-to-back events and daily events, but look, this is just that added extra of the logistics of
Yes.
flying around the world in 7 continents in 7 days. Like, um, if they hadn't, they need to make a film about that because there's
Yes.
like there's some there'd be that event, that beats Race Around the World or any of those
Yeah.
reality TV shows. Like, yeah, it's
It must be
Uh,
hard on your body clock, isn't it, Heather?
oh, it is. It is. Because you would have thought I would have gone home on that morning and slept, and I couldn't. In fact, I think it was this mixture of still running on adrenaline, yeah, expecting
Yep.
another race. So I stayed up all day, chatting with family, walking along the coastal walk here at Coogee, and then yeah, just crashed that night. Yeah, but it does. Yeah, and it's definitely it takes you a while to adjust back to normality. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine that it's a jet lag on steroid, right?
Yeah, it
yeah.
is. It is.
Oh,
So that was
incredible.
16.
2016.
Yes.
Right, okay. So you said that before, and I'm just trying to get us up to speed, that it was a different adventure then every year.
Yes.
What was next?
So actually that year was a two adventures. Yeah. So I'd actually signed up to do this adventure before the World Marathon Challenge. I'd kind of slotted that one in. So 2 weeks later, I was pulling on my trekking boots to trek for 5 months with my son Cal and daughter Beck across the Great Himalayan Trail in Nepal. We trekked from east to west, and it's an incredible journey. It's all the logistics are managed by
Mm.
World Expeditions, a fantastic Aussie company. So they provided guides and support crew because within that trek, it's the high route. And so you go over 16 5,000 meter high passes. They're
Wow.
incredible. So you're on fixed lines, up at altitude. You're living day to day out of small tents. It is one of those most incredible experiences that I will treasure for the rest of my life, particularly spending it with family. That had been
Mm.
such a driver that these running events, I'd started off with Beck and Cal with the 4K run, and I've been able to share some of the, I guess, experience of the North Pole with Doug. But this gave the real gift of getting out there for 5 months with Beck
Mm.
and Cal before they got too busy with life. Yeah, and it was an incredible, extraordinary journey. And
How old
yeah,
were they when you took them to Nepal? Like how old were they?
yeah, yeah.
How
So Beck was 23 and
Yep.
Cal turned 21 along the trail.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Yes, yeah. And there were times where there was role reversal where they were looking after me. I remember so clearly there was a really difficult high pass. It was rocky. It was so steep, and we're on fixed
Mm.
lines. And I just remember Cal in my ear. He was a great wingman, going, "Come on, Mum, you've got this. Come on, we'll get to the anchor point. You can breathe there. Okay, on we go." Yeah, and just to have him there looking after me was phenomenal.
And
Yeah.
again, was there a team of you, or that you had Sherpas with you as well along the way?
Yes.
So yeah,
We did. And the Great Himalayan Trail is divided into 7 stages. So we had different people coming to trek those individual stages,
right.
which is really
Ah,
cool to
okay.
have new people to talk to.
Mm,
Yeah, and to experience the country that goes from these beautiful tall mountains to the shaly, windswept plateaus of the Tibetan Plateau out west. And the monsoon rains caught up with us eventually. So that was an experience trekking in, the heaviest rain we've ever experienced. Yeah, and the beautiful people, that life that yeah, we encountered along the way, and just paring life back to thinking, today we're trekking from A to B. I just have to pull my backpack on, put my boots on,
mm,
yeah, yeah, and get to that point. And it's amazing when all those distractions of our life and the pressures of life have just been put to the side just for that time. It's yeah, it just allows your soul to run free. It's yeah, and have those big conversations with kids. It's great. Yeah.
It's not often I'm speechless, but I'm just sitting here listening to these stories about you, your escapades around the world in 2016 alone, and I'm like, take me there now.
Oh, yeah.
It's what a year. What
Yeah.
a like.
That was a really special year. And I want to add to that, yeah, my parents had passed away in 2008 and 2011, and I'd set aside some of the inheritance that I got from them
Right.
because they had been adventurous spirits,
mm,
and I really thought I want to carve out some time with family, and let's share some things that we will create memories and strengthen the bond even more. And so that enabled us to be able to do this trip together. And I'm so grateful that I look back and know that my mum and dad were the reasons and enabled us to do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
and
is
would honor
phenomenal. That
them.
is phenomenal.
mm.
That is
Yeah.
that is so good. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Like, and I mean, obviously that's an instant question. Sometimes people go, well, how do you fund something like that? But
Yeah.
to that legacy is
Mhm.
just incredible to be able to say that you're able to do that and share that with the kids.
Yeah.
Did Doug come and visit at all while you're over there?
We were planning that. He was pretty busy with work and also just time wise. Yeah, it was hard for him to get across, and he has issues with his knees trekking on the
Mm,
trail. So yeah, he was so good to keep life and soul going here at home. We had a satellite phone that we could call and yeah, keep in touch. Although there was a stretch of 13 days where we couldn't get the satellite connection. We were in deep ravines, and I remember going, "Oh, he's going to be so worried. He's going to be wondering, is everything okay?"
mm.
Yeah, so it was so good to get back up onto a ridge line and be able to chat and say, "We're all good. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll be home soon." Yeah.
So out of all of your adventures now, and obviously, 10 that just under 10 years ago since you've done that, but i- do they, is it, you're not trying to outdo them each time.
No.
They're just different experiences each time.
Yes. Yes. That's what I'm looking for, a new experience, a new challenge, something that I'm gonna learn from. And so that's why I did the Marathon des Sables in 2018. I thought this is desert, it's heat, it's
Hottest.
multi-stage, running with your gear on your back. Yeah, self-managing that way. It's 7 days, it's 250 Ks. It's yeah, so to have those brand new experiences,
Mm.
yeah, and seeing how you go.
Do you know whether Heather Hawkins, as as an Australian woman, is one of the only people that has both run in the north, south, and in the desert? You
I
must be one of the only people that's ever done this.
I wonder. I actually haven't looked it up. I don't-
We may
I
be
know. I
uncovering the world's first here, folks, because you not only are you going to all four corners of the globe in terms of your running experiences and things like that, but it's the adversity, but the conditions, the logistics.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah.
We need to look into this.
Let me know if you find
Oh well,
anything.
yeah, because like look, uh, there are incredible people like your good self out there doing incredible things, and we've touched on this already. But like, yeah, these adventures, and that's why I'm sort of trying to ascertain that now. You're not trying to top them; you're just trying
No.
to look for new experiences that just
Yes.
emulate what Heather Hawkins does.
Yes, and I want to encourage people to also get out there and give themselves the opportunity to experience the wilderness and what it's like to feel tired and but so exhilarated at the same time. Because I know what I was like before I was diagnosed with cancer, that I didn't like getting uncomfortable. I didn't like things going wrong or not going to plan. I didn't want to fail publicly, all those things like that. So I would stay on the very straight and narrow. Whereas now I've developed a little more courage about getting out there and just embracing it and having an experience. And it's not failure if you have a DNF or things don't quite go to plan. It's learning.
Mhm.
And you should be proud of yourself for giving it a go in the first place and and not being frightened about taking that very first step because that's where it all starts and where that journey then takes you.
Uh, and I guess as part of that, then is that where the book came from, and then is that where, and then what now are you imposing or passing on in your pursuits? Obviously, you're encouraging others out there, and your story in itself is just mind blowing. But yeah, how did that then come about?
Yeah, so the book, when I got back from the Great Himalayan Trail, Murdoch Books had been chatting with Doug and said, I think Heather's story will make a really good book. So they entrusted me to write, and they gave me 5 months. They said, Heather, you love a challenge. We'll give you 5 months to write your book, and we'd love you to include a couple of chapters of you as a completely normal, everyday mum who didn't run, who didn't do any sport
Mm.
whatsoever, and share openly about your journey through cancer, and then take us on a journey in your running to those places where you've been. And I love the idea of going in a circle. So the book starts out on the Great Himalayan Trail, and we're climbing up a high pass. And then I take you back through childhood and the impact of my parents and family and the running journey. And then the end of the book, we're back on the Great Himalayan Trail towards the end. So I love storytelling, and
Mm.
it's just been a revelation, the joy that it brings me. Currently, I'm working on book number two, which is yeah, because this book came out in 2017. So that is before I got into the Marathon des Sables or the track and a lot of those more difficult races, and also before Aconcagua with my climbing. So there's so many more stories that I'm putting into this book as well. But it's also yeah, advocacy work fills my time a lot. Yeah, trying to raise awareness and funds for ovarian cancer because at the moment here in Australia, there's only a 49% survival rate beyond 5 years. I mean, that's less than half,
Mm.
and and that's remained that way for so many years. And I would love to see that improved. And yeah, so I'm very passionate about that. And I found with these events, it's a great vehicle and opportunity to be able to talk about that and raise awareness. So yeah, so going from I think a very normal life, which was working full time, to now yeah transitioning into this whole different world, the pathway, and this is what running has brought me, and I'm so grateful for it.
Oh, it's outstanding, and the advocacy and the work that you're doing through that, but those adventures and those things. I mean, you are. I mean, it's the title of the book, folks. It's Adventurous Spirit, but it's that adventurous spirit that you've touched on in all of these activities. So you are now. Do you consider yourself, Heather Hawkins, the adventurer, or how do you? I guess that's what my question is. What do you? How do you introduce yourself to people now? How do you explain who you are?
That's a really good question because originally I would say mum, and that's definitely something that's really special to me. But yeah, I think I love the title of Ultra Runner Adventurer. Yeah, it has to be a sentence as opposed to one word to try and keep that all in. Advocate, yeah, writer. Yes, yeah. And it's discovering those new things about you, those yeah, those opportunities that come your way, and you can yeah, redefine yourself, learn something new and become something different. Yes. Yeah, so that's pretty much how that fills my day and fuels my fire.
And that drive is just there.
It is. It is. And it's interesting because a lot of people say, well, look, hey, you're 60. Are you going to start slowing down now? You know, what about those knees? But I am more passionate than ever before to, yes, to continue to be active and to seek out those experiences in the wilderness and to share it with family and friends. Yeah, I'm not prepared to stop. And you know, if I do become injured or if yeah, age gets the better of me, I can always pivot and find something else that will fuel my fire. That I think it's important, isn't it, to keep going, to yeah, to
You
keep the
just,
joy.
yeah, I think you just warm up.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I agree, Kelvin. I think Heather's definitely just warming
Yeah.
up because I mean, it, again, it's some of the pursuits and the adventures that you've gone on. I mean, a lot of them would test people. Has there been any moments in any of those that has tested you beyond, oh, actually, maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew
Yeah.
here?
Oh, well, a perfect example is Aconcagua. We climbed that. That's the one of the seven summits. It's the highest peak in the Andes in Argentina. And my son and I, we decided we would climb that. And it's pretty tall. It's just shy of 7,000 meters.
Mm.
So there's not much oxygen in the air when you're doing you're aiming for the summit. And it's a really long summit day, and it's actually a really long trek in. It's brutally hot down below because you climb it in summer. But as you're going up from base camp to camp one, camp two, camp three, it's getting colder and colder. The winds are so strong
Mm,
there. And summit day arrived. Both Cal and I had gastro, but managed to recover in time that we were okay to attempt the summit. And I remember getting to about 300 meters from below the summit and becoming really breathless and tired. And I said to Cal, I'm going to have to work out a strategy here because I'm not feeling great.
mm,
And there is a cutoff time that at this certain landmark called the cave, if you're not there by 3 p.m., then they turn you around. The guides turn you around. And so I thought I'm going to aim to get there before then. So I worked out a strategy of doing 20 steps, and it just seems such a small number of steps.
mm,
20 steps, stop, and let my heart rest, recover my breathing, and then push on. And that was the strategy that I resorted to. It was slow. Yeah, and in that moment there, I do remember thinking, wow, I'm not sure if I'm going to make this. But again, Cal was the ultimate wingman.
mm.
Mum, you've got this. Come on, Mum. And we did. We got to the cave with time to spare, and then we're able to trek right to the summit. There's a rocky outcrop just prior to the peak. It's like, no, why can't it just be a straightforward snowy patch? Getting through that rocky patch, and then suddenly you're standing on the summit, and the views are incredible. The Andes are so colorful. They're incredibly unique. They are so different to Nepal, which is
Mm,
the snowy covered peaks. Whereas this has oranges and crimsons, and they're like, this beautiful ocean with breaking waves that goes on forever. And the summit marker is a beautiful little cross that's kind of shaped into the open wings of a condor. And it's the most remarkable place to sit there and go, we've made it, we've done it, we have
mm.
done it. This is the highest I've ever climbed. And yes, yeah, so that was really, really challenging. And then knowing that you're only halfway, that you've actually got to get back
Good.
down. So yeah,
Come back down.
yeah, yes.
Wow. There's so many places I want to go, as in not just physically go, but take this conversation. I guess, there's now been a couple of these track challenges thrown in there. So in terms of that that running journey, but is there anything now along the way that you've got insight that you're looking at going, wouldn't mind having a stab at that, or or have we got to keep that under wraps?
Oh, look, I've got a few ideas, different, different, and there's certainly amazing races. I mean, I would love to do the Coast to Cossie.
Yeah,
That
right.
looks such a great race.
Have you ever stuck your hand up for that one?
No, because yeah, in the year, I think, yeah, how you're needing to have that qualifying
Yeah.
distance. Yeah, I've kind of been out of sync, so it hasn't quite worked with the time wise. But if I do really well with the 48-hour race coming up, I reckon I will put my hand up, yeah, for next year.
Yeah,
I
for
think
next
that'd be
year.
awesome.
I think they're about to
Mm.
actually release the names of this year's, the 2025's participants for
Yeah,
that.
oh,
I think that's
fantastic.
coming out this week, actually, because a friend of
Yeah.
mine's going for her second shot at that. But
Yeah.
Ella, but so that's one within
Yeah.
Australia. I mean,
There is another one I have to keep
okay,
my eye
yeah,
on.
we might have to keep that one under
No,
wrap.
that's okay. Called the Arctic 6633. I have followed
Ah,
this race for a number of years. It looks amazing, and again, the level of challenge is definitely a huge step up because it's non-stop. I think it's
mm,
612 Ks, isn't it? Up in the Arctic Circle, and you pull a pulk or a sled on
Yeah.
wheels behind you with
yes.
it. Yeah, I mean that looks phenomenal. I would love to do that. I know several Aussies have done that. Um, yeah, so that's definitely, yeah, there's a few that are kind of bouncing around in the head up here.
And along the way with all these adventures, I mean, you're doing it for Heather Hawkins. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it as again, as a ovarian cancer survivor. But has anyone actually, and I'm not talking about mainstream Australian media or anything like that, but has anyone ever stopped and actually gone, actually, wow, what you're doing is next level. How can we support you? How can we get behind you? Has anyone ever done that?
No, no sponsorship
And would
at
you
this
seek that,
point.
or are you happy just doing it the way you've been doing?
This point, I'm happy, yeah, with the way that I'm doing it.
Mm,
But again, I am open if someone does want to help with sponsorship. Yes, more than happy. But I guess I haven't seen that I'm up to that level. I look at the elite runners and and I kind of think I'm a little bit quirky. I'm off to the side doing these different things. So I guess I haven't approached, yeah, brands or people for sponsorship, but yeah,
I only asked that
mm,
question based on the fact that, and again, I'm not taking
yeah,
away from all these other amazing things that people are doing and elite athletes because they are out
yeah,
there, but
yeah,
this stays true and this rings true very much about what we do here at the Cowbell, is
that's right. Yeah.
it's
yeah.
extraordinary everyday people, and that you are at the pinnacle of that, Heather,
Oh,
and because you are doing it for you. And I love it.
yeah.
And that just this, what you shared about your parents and that to me is uh, that is breathtaking. That is
Thank
truly
you.
breathtaking because that is, I think, just pure. It's real. It's
Mm.
not. It's not forced. It's not done by any social media,
Yeah.
fireworks or anything like that.
Mm,
It's pure and sitting in your in your kitchen in your house here in Coogee with you is um, you're not pretending to be someone you're not,
Mm.
and you're doing all these things for you and these experiences, and that is just it's breathtaking.
And it's about being authentic, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And being, yeah, honest and real and just being true to yourself. And it's finding your way in life and all those learnings that you've had as a kid, as a young adult, as a young parent,
mm,
and putting that into play and thinking how can we make this world a better place? And in the ways that I can find my voice and remaining humble. I think that's your superpower, I think, as well. And being relatable and not losing sight of that as life goes on and holding on to hope. And I still remember so clearly my dad saying to me, always have things to look forward to and look after those around you. And they're powerful, profound words.
That's a superpower right there.
Super
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, I hate cutting these things off. I really do hate cutting these things off, but we've been chatting for a good time now. Kelvin, I mean, this has been extraordinary, hasn't it?
Oh, no, I think what you said, I think Heather definitely at the pinnacle as I mean, ordinary person, but achieving something extraordinary. I think you have been inspiring a lot of people, including myself. That's why I would love to read your book, Heather, and the chapter 2 as well. Let me know once it's out. Yeah, so I think yeah, I think yeah, Dave, I think probably um Heather probably have finished a lot of races and something that I think we always want to ask our guests and I think something that definitely want to ask you, Heather, like what is your cowbell moment
Yeah.
among all the races? Like obviously some of the adventure you have completed, like it may not have cowbell, like those trekking at the actually real cowbell. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I guess I mean, is there any cowbell moment that like you can think of, and you can have more than one? I feel a lot of our guests like they always have. Kevin, Dave, can I have more than one? Yes, of course you can. Yeah.
Thank you. I reckon I've got three. That's being a bit cheeky, isn't it?
Not at all.
Definitely that very first 4K run. That
Ah.
that one I will treasure forever, crossing
Yep.
the finish line. And that was my very first finish line, that experience and the beginning of my journey. The second one was real cowbells on the 6 foot track. Love that. And
Yep.
hearing those cowbells towards the end going, yes, I'm finally here.
And the cowbells on the 6 foot are very synonymous with that event, like a lot,
Yeah,
I mean, cowbells are with most events these days, but you just did say that to me before we
yeah,
went to air over here, that, that was your very first memory of a physical cowbell.
Yep.
yeah, yeah. And then the final one would be at the end of the track. And I say that it's an amazing multi-stage ultra marathon held in Outback Australia.
Mm.
And back when I was a 21-year-old, I had a camper van and I headed off to have some adventures. And I worked on a cattle station called Curtin Springs. And the track ultra marathon runs through that property.
Wow.
And I got to see the family again. I've kept in touch with them, popped back several times, but this time it was something special because Peter Severin, he was in his 90s. I got to see him and they're going, haven't you heard about, transport and buses and cars? What are you doing running? And the finish line is the final day you run from Curtin Springs to close to Uluru. And that for me was a real treasure. Again, going
Mm,
full circle. I felt
mm.
I was back to being 21 years of age, celebrating where life had taken me, and then finishing that multi-stage marathon, looking out at Uluru, going, this is spectacular. And I will cherish that moment. Yeah.
Wow,
Mm.
that's another full circle moment right there,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Like and being able to go back, but just and excuse the pun, but in our own backyard,
Yeah.
like in Australia, yeah,
Yeah.
of all the places around the globe, I mean
Yeah.
that's in the dead center,
Yeah.
or the red center, sorry. Yeah, that's an incredible
Mhm.
story. I mean, for a second there, I actually thought chronologically we might have interviewed Heather and gone through year by year, but we might have to do that as another episode again.
Yes.
And not meaning to gloss over some of these experiences, but um, uh, yeah, as I said, it's not often that I'm caught out, but sitting in your presence in here tonight has just been truly amazing to be able to hear some of your experience, and it is authentic, And I love that word.
Mm.
I love that word. I love authentic, and your experiences and what you've been able to overcome as an individual, but as a family, to hear all your experiences with your family, that you've shared that with them, um, and that's nothing stopping you. That 10 centimeter tumor was not going to get in the way of now what you've achieved. So it's truly a blessing to be able to be in your presence, to know you, but also to hear about your pursuits. And so thank you so much for being part of the Cowbell. Now, folks, we've got a very a special gift tonight as part of this. Heather has actually donated a copy of her book, Adventurous Spirit. Heather Hawkins, sometimes life takes us to a place we never planned on going, and I'll tell you what, in this episode tonight, that is so true. So we were trying to think of the best way, Heather, to be able to share this with our guests of the Cowbell. And so, Heather, I'll leave it up to you to explain how we're going to give this copy of this book away this evening.
Yeah, thank you. So I reckon that on the the Instagram page that you tag, so you follow Cowbell podcasts, and that you tag Cowbell, and you also tag Heather Hawkins, and in the comments write adventurous spirit. And I think, will we choose one at random, or will we have a specific
Yeah,
number?
let's this our podcast will go live this week, and maybe we'll let it run for a couple of days,
Yeah.
maybe into the weekend, and then maybe we'll come back to maybe we'll work something out, but we'll do it as a bit of a random thing. But yeah, so make sure both on the Cowbell Podcast Instagram, which we'll share, of course, in our notes, but also Heather Hawkins. So you mentioned both Heather Hawkins. You can do it on both Heather Hawkins's Instagram page, but also the Cowbell Podcast page on Instagram. And then, but in the comments, write adventurous spirit, and by all means, share your a little blurb about your own adventurous spirit. But you need to be able to hashtag adventurous spirit in the comments, and then share a little bit about that, and then we'll pick a winner at random on that, and we'll send out a copy of this incredible book. What do you think, Kelvin?
It'll be a signed copy, right, Heather?
It's already been signed. It's already
Oh,
been
good.
signed. It's already signed. A signed copy.
Amazing.
Look,
No, that's awesome.
we wish you all the best for your 48-hour track experience later in the year.
Thank you.
You've ticked off 24, so I don't think 48 hours is beyond you at all. And let's see what records you can tick off in that 60 age bracket for the 48-hour one. We can't wait to hear more about your future adventures and your future escapades. But on behalf of Kelvin and myself and the Cowbell Podcast, Heather, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Cowbell.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you so much, Kelvin. It's been really lovely to chat.
Thank you so much, Heather.